Hi everybody, so a name that doesn't need any introduction joins us today on this week's webinar, where we are pleased to welcome Amazon. So we really want to focus on why as STEM students and graduates, Amazon wants to recruit you. We're also going to highlight what a career at Amazon could look like. And today we're joined by Christina and grads Abby, Fran and Mohammed. So starting with you, Christina, everybody knows who Amazon is, but they might not really know about the opportunities which are available. So could you start off just by introducing yourself and tell the audience what roles you currently have advertised on GradCracker?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. So my name is Christina. I'm a campus recruiter, and it's a pleasure to participate in GradCracker webinar. So currently, as a campus recruiter, I am responsible for hiring graduates and operation interns. So these two roles that you will be able to find on the GradCracker website to apply for. So operation internships, it's an amazing opportunity basically for students to come in and see how Amazon runs the whole operation in our 3 buildings, like fulfillment centers, sort centers, and delivery stations. During their internships, you will be able to put your analytical skills to test and roll up your sleeves to complete a project that will contribute to improve the functionality and level of service that fulfillment centers provides to our customers. And then basically it's a good opportunity insight to actually see what's the graduate area manager is looking like. So on successful internship, potentially you could be converted into full-time graduate manager role. So that's the 2 opportunities that are currently advertised. So operation internships and graduate area shift manager roles.
Perfect, thank you, Christina. And from the students' point of view, obviously we are looking at STEM students who are watching the webinar today. What key attributes do STEM students bring to Amazon that you really look for?
Analytical capabilities, definitely somebody, who would focus into diving deep into the data, metrics, numbers, and I think majority of the STEM degree candidates probably would have that. So that's definitely would be probably priority and the preferred skills. So this is just probably one of them to mention, but there is probably loads of other aspects throughout STEM degree that would be beneficial to this role because this is such a wide role that covers a lot of characteristics for anybody who wants to kind of build up as well, like leadership. But of course, majority of the STEM degree candidates probably would be part of some societies or anything like that, where they would had some exposure to leadership and everything. So coming into this role as well, this would be very important. But just probably a few to mention.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And I think, it's worthwhile, Christina mentioned a few points there. So if you are part of a society, highlight that as part of your application. And I know Amazon are recruiting from all STEM disciplines, so make sure you get your applications in. From a student's point of view, Christina, are there any deadlines, timelines that they need to be thinking about?
So we are currently hiring for 2022. Our aim to fill all internship availabilities basically by the end of this year. So if you're interested in operations internship, please do apply now through GradCracker. In regards to graduate roles, again, we are hiring students who already graduated or in the final year. And the dates available to start will be all throughout 2022. So if you have an interest, you already can start applying.
Fantastic. And I know Christina's mentioned a few things there about like fulfillment centres, operations. I'm going to focus on that when I speak to the grads a little bit later on. And so you'll get to know all about what these keywords mean and when we speak to Mohammed, Abby and Fran. So let's do that. Let's meet the grads right now. I'm going to start with you, Abby. So could you just tell the audience where you went to university and what did you study?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Abby Bennett and I studied marketing at the University of Liverpool.
Thank you very much, Abby. On to you, Mohammed.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed. I studied electrical electronic engineering in Manchester Metropolitan University, and I did the Masters in Engineering Management in the same university. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. And last but not least, Fran.
Hello, everyone. I'm Fran Kennedy, and I studied software development at the University of Glasgow.
Perfect, thanks, Fran. So you can see there lots of variety in the disciplines studied at university. So we'll get to know a little bit more from the grads later on. Right now I want to stick with Amazon, key fact that people might not know about. And Christina, I'm coming back to you.
Absolutely. So one quick top fact that I would like to share with everybody that not probably everybody knows, how many buildings we have across UK. And that number is 163 buildings across UK and Ireland that we hire for, basically. So endless opportunities for students, and each of those buildings at the time of the year, they need a graduate. So here we go.
Thank you very much, Christina. Mohammed, key exciting fact?
So when anyone's applying for the manager job at Amazon, we are monitoring that once you have passed the application process, you're going to be better than 50% of the existing managers that we have worldwide at Amazon. So
I love that. I've never heard of anything like that before. So thank you, Mohammed. Abby?
Yes, so my exciting fact is that in my 5 years within Amazon, I've spent each year in a different role and in a different department.
I think that's brilliant as well. It just shows the progression that you can make at Amazon, progression within your role and then obviously moving around the departments. So thank you, Abby. Fran, on to you with this massive number.
Sure. So I started on Amazon on the 5th of July this year. So before I started, there were 1,100,123 Amazonians hired before me. And since I started on the 5th of July, there have been 367,512 Amazonians hired after me.
I was just saying, how you culture the Amazonians. I think it's great.
I just can't believe that number. Christina, back to you. I know Fran just mentioned the numbers there. So how many grads and interns are you looking to recruit into 2022?
So it varies year on year, of course, but potentially, I think across EMEA overall is probably going to be about 800 grads, specifically to UK. Well, just an interesting fact probably as well, that, for example, since I joined in recruitment, where it is like for last year, I hired 211 graduates so far. So this is just to show that even as a new started recruiter, the numbers we are hiring throughout the year. So across UK, it probably will be 600, I would say. Yeah, definitely. That's how many, 163 buildings. And like I said, if any of those buildings opens at least one opportunity, but usually it's more opportunities throughout the year. There's a large numbers of graduates hired throughout the year for sure.
We've got a little bit of a family going on here as well, haven't we? Because you actually recruited Mohammed.
Yes.
Which is exciting. Mohammed was like, I remember you, Christina. You mentioned EMEA. So if you were a graduate looking on now, could you apply to graduates within Europe, as opportunities within Europe as well?
Yeah, so each country has its own graduate scheme, of course, but if somebody is from Italy, France, Spain, Germany, Poland, every single country has its own graduate program, because Amazon has building in all the countries that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So we are like, I'm specifically hiring for UK, but each country has their own recruitment team. But yes, if you're interested in another countries and you speak the local language, you definitely can apply.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Christina. Over to you, Jessica.
Yeah, I want to find out more about the roles now. So, Abby, I'm going to come to you first. I know you've obviously had quite a few different roles since you've been there for the last 5 years, but if you could just tell us a bit about the current role you're in and, yeah, your experiences so far, because obviously they've changed a lot.
Yeah, sure. So I joined Amazon nearly 5 years ago in December 2016 as a graduate area manager. And then since then, in kind of that Amazon journey where I've worked in different roles and kind of different sites, I've worked my way to a senior operations manager position. Brilliant. So at the moment, I run our inbound department in one of our Amazon robotic fulfillment centres, which is based in Darlington. Essentially, I've got a team of 4 operations managers, 16 area managers, and 900 direct associates. So it's a really large team, but it's kind of putting to test all of them skills and capabilities that I've been able to build up during my Amazon journey. So that's my responsibility at the moment. I oversee quality, safety, and customer experience within my department.
Interesting. So many questions.
Your mind boggles a bit, doesn't it? Because you just think, how does all this work?
I know,
Just
because I
before this
think
webinar, I just got a message saying, "Oh, your Amazon delivery is six stops away." I think it was. How did it, I mean, I only ordered it yesterday. How does it all work?
I know, and I think that's the thing as well. You know, everyone knows the brand, the name Amazon, but it's something I know because I do a lot of traveling myself, and you go up and down the country, you see these big, big warehouses, back on warehouses, distribution centers sounds a bit more glamorous than a warehouse. And you think, what's going on inside there? What is the magic that you're all cooking up? So I'm excited to find out what really goes on. So, Abby, so just talk us through, you're obviously quite a big team that you look after. So what's your kind of day-to-day like? What does it really consist of, and how hands-on is it? And loads of questions, really. How do you get to change stuff? And just tell us a bit more, really.
Yeah, I think there's two main things that you manage in operations, and one of them, and probably the most important, is people. So it's a lot of people management. It's a lot of supporting your team on the floor, from direct associates to area managers to operations managers. And then the second aspect is the process. So we manage through processes, and a lot of what we do are through mechanisms, are through really well thought out and standardized processes that allow us to deliver that consistent customer experience to our customers. So it's managing two concepts, essentially. It's managing our people and managing our processes, and I think it's finding the balance between the both of them and seeing how we can kind of make them work in harmony. But I would say predominantly, a large percentage of my job is thinking about my people, how I can develop them, how I can support them in the role. As I've kind of outlined myself, there's a lot of development within the company. So constantly looking at my team, who's going to move next, where do I want to move them to, how to develop them within their roles. And then, as I said, how to continue to refine that process to ensure that we can deliver customer experience.
Because you will come across people from lots of different disciplines, so for example, Mohammed, you're electrical, Fran, software, you're marketing yourself. So people with lots of different backgrounds, coming from university, lots of different experiences. I bet it's quite interesting to work with a breadth of people with lots of different knowledge, and I bet it's nice to work with a mixed team.
Yeah, definitely. And we work across support functions. So I head up the inbound department. I've got a counterpart who heads up outbound. In the building, we've got HR functions, workforce staffing, safety, quality. There's lots of kind of mini teams within our fulfillment center, which employs around 2,000 people. And then we operate within a vast network. So you get an opportunity to meet lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds, and kind of really establish a network within the company, which I think is also super important to what we do, and provides us with that speed when we make decisions, because it's not kind of made in isolation. It's made amongst a much bigger network that's all moving parts at the same time.
Yeah, brilliant. Interesting.
And you mentioned inbound, Abby. I know it's probably a simple question, but what do you actually mean then? So goods coming in, and can they be from all over the world? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So we basically, in the fulfillment center, it's essentially kind of a storage center where we store inventory, and that then enables customers to order it online. So obviously we need to kind of meet that need in demand of customers ordering with kind of our speed in terms of getting inventory into the building. So we kind of receive inventory through lots of different value streams. That can be FBA, when kind of smaller kind of consumers or independent businesses can sell through Amazon. And then also we work with a lot of vendors who will send us inventory that they then sell on Amazon's website. So we balance kind of lots of different value streams in receiving inventory into our building, making sure that it's available on our website to our customers, so that they can order it and get it as soon as possible.
Brilliant. Mohammed, going to come to you next. So I feel like from Abby's experience, it's a lot about people and getting to know people and being able to develop people, move people forward. Could you tell us a bit about your role and your experiences so far?
Yeah, of course. So my role is a PM shift manager. So I start at 2 p.m., finish at midnight. I don't have the same team as Abby. I've got only one supervisor and an operational assistant associate, and myself. So almost the same, I would say.
Yeah.
So I monitor all the vehicles and vans out on road. So
Okay.
we receive the parcels and the shipments from Abby's fulfillment center, for example,
Yeah.
and we dispatch them to our customers.
Mhm.
So I monitor all the out on road vans, make sure if anyone needs any support, everything is going smoothly, checking any traffic or roadworks, any support required by any of the drivers.
Mhm.
And we receive the parcels that come back that were not delivered to our customers or were cancelled out on
Mhm.
road. So we receive them back at the station and we save them. Depending if it was cancelled, we send it back to the FCs, the fulfillment center, sorry, or we place them to be inducted to go out again the day after.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think, yeah, that's
Yeah.
about it at the moment.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So for example, going back to Carla's example of her getting a notification just before this webinar to say your parcel was 8 stops away. Do you get involved in that technical side as well? Is that a software which you kind of get involved in, or is it just literally the tracking of the drivers?
I don't get in with the technical software itself, but I've
Mhm.
got the tool, the website that I can monitor. So I would know when it's 8 stops or 2 stops away or so. So, and I can see the tracking number and I can track everything, but not the software as in to edit any technical things on the website. I do the monitoring part.
So it's quite hands-on then. So for example, as you say, you've got quite a late shift.
Yeah.
Because parcels won't be delivered till that time. So, you know, what's a typical like shift looking like for you? Is it full on right up until you finish your shift, or how does that look?
So we have the delivery service providers, managers are on site with us. So each manager has his own team of drivers that we deal with them.
Yeah.
So I have to attend and do flow meetings with each manager every hour to make sure every single driver for their company are well, they don't need any support, any rescue we can help.
Yeah.
So I do that straight from 2 p.m. I start at 2:30, so every 2:30, 3:30, and up until 6:30.
Right.
From about 4:30, 5 p.m. it gets a bit busy because we start receiving the drivers back to the station who hasn't had their parcels, and they have to place the bags that went out to the parcels, because we have to store the bags back in the place that goes in the aisles for the parcels. And so it's actually hands-on up until about 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Then that's the latest we can have drivers delivering for.
Yeah.
After 10 p.m. I'm doing my handover report to the night shift. I'm doing my handover emails. I'm updating all the data and everything for the team. So.
Yeah. Brilliant. Sounds interesting. Fran, I'm going to come to you next. Same question, just find out a bit about your current role and what you're up to.
Sure. So I am the in-station ACEs manager. So ACEs stands for Amazon Customer Excellence System, and my role is basically as a continuous improvement manager here. So where Abby was talking about process, my role involves making sure process is followed, and I work in a delivery station. So in my particular delivery station, it's split into 3 shifts. So night shift will receive the parcels from the fulfillment center, scan them in, and then put them in the bags ready to leave. The AM shift then take the bags and take them outside to the drivers, and then Mohammed's shift, the PM shift, then like monitor on the road and then take anything that doesn't get delivered. And there's a lot of processes that occur between those 3, so it's making sure they're all aligned to minimize like any defects before, during the whole day, really, and to make sure that sorry, hang on a second, I haven't moved. It's a new building, so we're launching. Sorry, 1 second, I'll be 2 seconds.
Well, it just shows how efficient you are.
It shows how good your hybrids are. We've had this before. We've had a webinar last year, Jess. The person, it was all, you had to move around and she was just dead still. So all of a sudden she was just kept doing this as part of the webinar. Just sort of like, so if you just want to do a chair dance, Fran, we completely understand, just to stop the lights going off.
No worries.
Fran, I was going to say, it sounds as though quite a lot of your roles are quite heavily on process. Can you, for example, with you all being quite hands-on and doing the process, can you kind of update the process feedback and say, look, we could do this maybe a bit more efficiently, or can you take charge really, and can you change the process whenever you see fit?
So there is a method of doing that where we feed back to different teams, and especially so during my training I got the opportunity to go visit different sites. So one of the sites I went to was Manchester, and they have a system where if there is an issue within the aisles when an associate is picking a bag, with the buildings being so big, it's difficult to know in real time if an associate has an issue like way down that way if you're stood over the other side of the warehouse. So what they did was they implemented a light system, so an Amazon associate can trigger a light, and then the managers and the line leaders, the people who are checking the aisles where they're working in, know to go to that associate, and I can bring that to my station, and it's going to help. So things like that. And then if there's anything that you think makes things, because it's all about efficiency and getting the most out of the process, but so yeah, there is a way to record and put forward better ideas if you think of one, definitely.
Yeah, that's good, because like I say, it just all seems exactly what you said about being efficient is I guess probably one of your key factors and motivation really to keep it as quick as possible for your customers. Christine, I'm going to come to you next. I can imagine from a student's point of view it could be quite daunting starting a job at such a well-known company such as Amazon. But what training and support do you give? And obviously, Fran, I know you mentioned you got to, go to another office and things like that and see other people at work. But what kind of training do you give, Christina?
Sure. So absolutely. I think for any young individuals coming into such a large company and into the role where you will be leading large number of people, managing processes and etc., it could be daunting and overwhelming. So Amazon, for any new graduate coming in, provides 10 to 12 weeks training. So depending which building you're going to join. But yeah, so the training will consist a little bit of everything. It's literally going to start from practicing what associates are doing on day-to-day basis, so managers can actually understand what associates are going through. There is some virtual training to attend some various virtual sessions, courses, and etc. Then there is some workshops for them to do. It's an extensive training, as it's about 3 months of training, and they will go through everything. Familiarizing with all the tools and platforms that Amazon is using, everything in advance. And then once they complete it, then they will actually join the team, their process or shift, whatever they will be managing, and then they start their role. So it's going to be quite a bit of support for them coming in.
Brilliant. And then after that, obviously, Abby, I know you've touched upon it slightly in the support that you've got to change roles and move and develop. But is that typical? Can everyone kind of get that experience and move around and develop as an individual, or is it really kind of depend on what role you're going into, Christina?
Oh, sorry, it was for me. I thought it was for Abby now.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So Amazon has quite a wide opportunities, like for any graduates coming in. So they all can come in as a graduates candidates, right? So they will start as a graduate managers, and later they can be promoted to level 5 managers. So in Amazon, we have like a level system of managers. So the first entry is level 4 graduate, and then throughout years you can progress. So of course, progression is different to each individual, but I think probably for a graduate, 12 to 18 months, they could progress to level 5 manager, which is the same role. It just gives you a little bit more responsibilities. As a level 5, you can cover your ops managers whenever they are off the floor for whatever reason. You can even apply for a temporary ops manager role for the peak. And basically that's kind of progression within operations. So you start as a graduate, you can get promoted to level 5. Then if you're interested, you can go to level 6, which is operations manager, and then level 7, senior ops managers. So this is the positions, roles that Abby went through. So she went from graduate to level 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's what she's doing. She's like managing one part of the building. And then after that, it's a site leader or general manager. So that would be within operations. Of course, if you have more ambition, you can go to regional directors. But that would be within operations. Other aspects, of course, some people can come in as a graduate, spend a few years in Amazon in operations, and then they will decide that maybe operations was a good way to start, but they would like to consider other options within Amazon. And then there is all other corporate world, if they want to change it. Like I started in operations as well. I spent 8 years in Amazon, starting from associate into area manager. And now for the last year, I changed my career path and I joined recruitment. So like I said, loads of opportunities for graduates, not just graduates, but overall anybody really joining Amazon.
It's quite an interesting thought, isn't it? You could completely change your career path and still stay within the business. And there's options to do that, which is quite an interesting thought. And next, I just want to talk about locations. And I know you've touched about, was it 163?
Yeah.
Amazing locations and areas across the UK. But typically for the students, where would they be based? Or are those 163 options all open to them as well?
Yeah, kind of potentially. So we are hiring UK wide. We are for graduates specifically and operations interns. We're not like, you're not going to see any specific graduate opportunities to one specific location. It will be listed all the time as a UK wide vacancies. And we are, like I said, hiring throughout the year. So any vacancy could open in any of those 163 buildings. So we asking candidates on in terms of flexibility in location. It would be like preferable if they are flexible. However, we do our best to place candidates in their preferred locations wherever is possible. And additionally, I think it's worth mentioning probably as well that Amazon provides relocation support. So, you know, there's payment for candidates who are willing to relocate 50 miles and above from their current location. So we want that flexibility and we give you that support if you are willing to relocate.
Good. That's a great point. I'm so glad you touched upon that, Christine. It's something that I say to the students all the time. So anyone listening, do try and be flexible on your location when you're looking for graduate positions. The more flexible you are, the more opportunities you can be applying to and be exposed to. That's a fantastic point. Okay, so next we're going to go back to the grads, and I know we've kind of touched upon the day-to-day stuff, haven't we? And I know we're all kind of gearing up for Christmas now, but what's it gonna look like? I know Carly, you wanted to add a bit to this as well, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think I want to start with Fran, if that's okay with you, Fran, because I know you're at the moment going live with a new location where you're based. So just tell the audience a little bit about the background to that. So the location that you're currently in, what you had to do to make the centre go live, and then how will your role change? Will your role change from, the centre being built to it being active?
Sure. So at the moment, we are building a station in Bolton. Most people in Bolton at the moment are their orders get fulfilled either by the Manchester or Preston delivery stations. And with peak coming, which is Christmas, the peak period, we need to open one closer. The process started probably about 3 months, maybe a bit more. The building has had people in it for about, I'd say, 3 months, and it's been a long journey from the initial designs to getting things in place, because it's a conveyor belt system and it's quite a large system, split into different aisles. And yeah, we've a lot of processes that we've got to get sorted and fixed. So this morning, for example, so when drivers come and load their vehicles with packages, they get timed just to make sure that it's all efficient and runs to plan. And so this morning I was configuring the beacons, which are the bits of software that work with Bluetooth to connect to the driver's phone, so we can tell how long they've been in and how long they took to load. So I was doing that this morning. There's the bags have been all put up. We've been painting the floor to make sure that everyone knows where different things in the delivery station are. And when we launch on, I believe when we launch on Thursday, we know that we'll have around, I think it's 9,000 packages going through here on our first day, which is quite a lot. So looking forward to that, and we'll be fine, I think, by the time we get there. But yeah, good experience.
And if you don't mind me just interrupting there, and Callum, we might be thinking the same thing, but on an average day, just for the what would you call it where you work?
Delivery station,
that's what I'm thinking of. But that one delivery station, on average, when it's fully up and running, how many packages will go in and out of there on an average day, do you know?
I think for us it'll be around 45,000, but the one that I trained in was they can go up to 140,000. They're the biggest in the network. Yeah, so it's the Preston one. They're the biggest in the network, and they deliver the most parcels. So yeah, that's quite a lot. That's at peak, and obviously like during the busiest periods of the year as well. So a lot.
Wow, that is quite daunting. So how does your day-to-day life work, Fran? So when you go in the morning, just describe it. So what time, for example, what time do you start work? Do you have a bit of a team meeting in the morning? Do you have a manager which says, right, okay, Fran, so these are your priorities for this week? Just tell everybody about a day in the life of Fran.
So I'm part of two teams really. So the ops team is who I work with day to day, but then the ACES Continuous Improvement Manager team, I speak to, I'm also on there. That's my actual team. So normally I get in about 5 a.m. because I need to spend my days are spent covering all the shifts if I can. So I start at 5, and that means that I'm at the end of the night shift, and I stay till about 1 p.m. when the PM shift are in. And it's basically making sure that all the new projects that have been launched are running as smoothly as they should be, and that metrics are looking good, and that we're not failing on like the customer obsession metrics, and we've not missed any like parcels, for example. And if so, I need to then deep dive. So that's basically finding out the root causes of why something happened so that we can prevent it. I have weekly meetings as well with both teams. I'm on the floor a lot, seeing what's going on, speaking with associates to see if there's anything that they're having issues with, and I do a progress audit once a month. So it's just I go around and all the shifts to make sure that to report what processes have sort of moved from the alignment, and then have a meeting after that to see what we can do to get it back to how it should be, and any metrics that we're failing, speak to the team to try and get them back on track.
So when you mentioned,
do you mind if I interject with a question?
Let me write my question down there because I'm getting old and I'll forget.
No, I'm a bit excited. I want to find out. This is for Fran and Mohammed. I hope you don't mind, Abby. Just with you being a marketing background and with STEM students listening to this session, they might be interested in that. I just really want to know. Doing the degree disciplines you've studied, what initially attracted you to Amazon? You know, why did you pick out Amazon to start as a graduate? You know, why did you pursue a career there? I'm going off tangent. Sorry, Carla.
That's okay.
I don't know. I'm a pain. I'll get those after.
Was that a question for me or for Fran?
Both yourself and Fran.
Oh,
just being from a technical background, what really made you apply to Amazon?
So I was referred by a friend in the fulfillment center by the Manchester airport. But when he explained to me and I went through the website and I was going through the departments and roles, what is interesting is, as Abby mentioned, how you can change roles every single 6 to 8 months or a year. So it's quite interesting how we have hundreds of different departments, hundreds of different opportunities, possibilities. You can change into many different teams. You can stay on operations, leave operation into corporate offices, or the ACES team with Fran, which is still part of the operations. So it's just quite exciting how you can change and be whatever you want to be basically at Amazon. So yeah,
I like that. That's good.
Sorry, I think it's the variety. No, that's fine. Fran, this was just a question for you. So you mentioned associates, or I think all of the grads have mentioned associates. Explain what that is then. So are these the people who are on the ground picking and packing the parcels? Yeah,
Yep. So in a delivery station, they are, yes. So they scan. We have associates to scanning the parcels all the way through to taking them out onto the yard to be picked up by the drivers.
Yeah, and then do you have a combination of people doing that job? Because I think, Abby, you mentioned about robots doing that job as well. Is it different centres have different people or robots, or is that how it works?
So I believe delivery stations are increasing their automation. So for example, we're launching with a system that labels parcels for us instead of having somebody with a scanner. I believe in the fulfillment centres, and Abby, please correct me if I'm wrong, they have more robotics than us. So we don't have as much as them.
Perfect. No, that makes sense. So I was just querying in my brain which one's which. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Fran. So when you go live with the new centre that you're in, you're staying there. The plan is for you to continue to do what you do at that centre.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Thank you, Fran. Abby, I know we touched on your day-to-day life, but is there anything else that you wanted to add about your role and what you do every day?
No, I think it's taking all the inputs from the floor. So a lot of what Fran's touched on, I'm still responsible in terms of overseeing that. I'll work a lot more with kind of external teams, so supply chain, how we plan inventory, how we plan customer orders across the network, execution teams that work with us to schedule trailers and arrivals. So it's kind of partnering with teams kind of further upstream in Amazon's processes. So that's kind of what a lot of my role is based on, a lot of kind of review and metrics, so day-to-day performance. I think Fran's touched on that. We've got a lot of metrics which quantify our inputs and allow us to really accurately track where we're going right, where we're going wrong, where we need to improve. So that really helps kind of keep our eyes on where we need to focus. And I think we've got a lot of reporting kinds of metrics that really help us know where we need to put our focus onto. And then with that as well, there's a lot of new metrics that evolve each day. So, we're constantly trying to improve customer experience. And as we kind of work through processes, a lot of the time there comes kind of a new metric that probably will develop that then, we'll start to kind of focus on and push that within our teams and see how we can drive that improvement on the floor.
And what's your shift patterns then, Abby? So Mohammed is obviously the night owl and Fran is the early morning girl. So what's your shift pattern like?
So at the moment, I'm Monday to Friday. I cover like the entire building because my teams work from 6 a.m. in the morning until 6 a.m. at night. So, I try to be flexible so I can touch base with everyone. In the past, when I was an area manager, when I was an operations manager, I've worked night shifts, I've worked day shifts. It is generally shift work. So, you can work kind of the front end of the week or the back end of the week. So I've definitely worked in a variety of shifts in the past. But at the moment, I am kind of Monday, Friday pattern.
Yeah, it's really good that you do experience all the different areas of the business, though, isn't it? So you can see how they all work. Thank you very much for that, Abby. And Mohammed, I know again we touched on, Jess is pinching my questions, we touched on your day-to-day life. What's changing? What will be changing in the next couple of months then with the run up to Christmas? Will you be responsible for more team members? How do you prepare for the Christmas period?
So we already started way before we launched in the last 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
We're trying to ramp up, increase our associate numbers and as well as drivers to prepare for peak. So by beginning of December, I'll have a team of myself, another supervisor, so 2 supervisors and 2 operational assistant associates, and 1 yard marshal. So a yard marshal is responsible for all the trailers or vehicles in and out the yard. He controls the yard, make sure everything is up to the safety.
Yeah.
So to avoid any injuries or accidents on the yard. So yeah, the team will be doubled basically by December.
Do you ever get to go out with the drivers, Mohammed? Is that something that you think, I'd like to see it from the other person's point of view, when they are traveling up and down the UK? Is that something that you can do or you'd want to do?
Yeah, so once you join Amazon, we have a period of the academy period of 3 weeks, which is the virtual trainings and assessments you do, as Christina mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
After that, once you start doing the Amazon experience in terms of seeing the team and seeing other shifts, you can actually go on a ride along with the driver to see how they deliver the parcels to the customers out on road, see the difficulties they face, and to try to learn more about what they do out on the road, to understand more, so we can help them and improve their experience, basically. So yeah, it is possible. You can.
Oh, I'd like that bit. I'd like to go out with a trucker. That's how I spent my childhood, with my dad going up and down the UK. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Abby, you were nodding along there when I was asking Mohammed about Christmas and the period of ramping up. Is it quite similar to you? Do you see it go a little bit chaotic?
Yeah, I think my volumes that we process in the site are a little bit different to France. So I think in our peak periods, kind of weekly in terms of inbound and outbound, we'll probably go to around 8 million, which is a lot of units getting processed. So it's quite a big operation. So obviously it's all about how we can get prepared for that. So we spend a lot of time hiring people in. We spend a lot of time refining our processes to make sure that they can max out and to make sure that they're going to work at the same quality, safety and speed that they would in kind of non-peak operations. So we have a lot of preparation for peak, in terms of our managers as well. I suppose a lot of the graduates would be coming into manager positions, making sure the managers have got all of the toolkits they need to deliver a really successful peak. And I think as well, peak is normally our funnest time of the year. So we spend all year working towards this period, so it's about kind of really enjoying the fruits of your labor. We have a lot of fun activities. We have a whole calendar that is dedicated to peak fun, which sees lots of different initiatives. Last year was slightly different because obviously it was a completely different environment, but I think this year we're getting some fun back. I know we had reindeers on site last year. We had snow globes, everything, you name it. Each year I think they always bring out something new, but it's definitely a fun period for people to look forward to as well, and as I said, enjoy all the hard work that they've done in the year.
Oh, I bet it's like a little wonderland, isn't it? And what's the next busy season? So obviously Christmas is a busy one. What else would you say was the second in line?
We also have Prime Day, so that's a really busy period for us as well. So we prepare for these two events all year. So peak, we start planning for that. After Prime, essentially we start planning for that in July, and there's a lot of preparation that goes into that, stabilizing your org, looking at your machines. There's a lot of inputs that go into peak, and then after we've had our peak periods in January, things tend to kind of slow down a little bit, everything stabilizes, we start looking at driving improvements again, and then July we've got Prime. It tends to be around July. So yeah, there are two main kinds of events of the year.
Yeah. Oh, I want to work at Amazon at Christmas. So I want to now move on to the projects that you've been involved in. So a particular project that might be the most proudest moment of your Amazon career so far, or something that you really found quite interesting. And Fran, I'm going to go to you.
So I guess the most interesting one has been the launch, but I've spoken about that already.
Yeah.
The other one that I've been involved in is a unified reverse logistics process. So it's been rolled out in the site that I was training at, and it's going to be rolled out here. And basically, what that means is we were sending as delivery stations, we were sending return parcels back to the FC, but they were receiving them and not knowing sort of what was in the pallets and where they were coming from, things like that. So launching we'll be launching here a project where we scan parcels for the different fulfillment centers that they're returning to, so that they know what's coming back to them and know where to store it, and then their inventory is sort of kept in line as well. So that's going to be a big one, because we've got to train the associates here who haven't actually started yet, to make sure that they know how to scan packages and how to load them safely as well before going back. So that's quite a big one for us.
Oh yeah, I bet. Well, good luck for Thursday. I think I'm nervous about these Grad Cracker webinars. I don't know how you feel. I think I'll be shaking. Mohammed, your favourite project or piece of work that you've worked on so far?
So my two favorite projects are my two main key metrics on my operation shift, which are the FDDS is the first day delivery success rate percentage we have at Amazon, which means how many the amount of parcels we dispatched onto our customers, how many did we get delivered out of them?
Yeah.
So the higher the better. Our target is sitting on 99.25%.
Wow, that's a high target.
It's quite high. We want the best standard, so it is. Our targets are always high,
Of
but it's
course.
achievable.
Yeah.
And so it's about learning the driver's experiences, what certain, let's say, locations in our area that we deliver to,
Mhm.
do they face problems, any specific, for example, vendors, we have issues with their parcels that are not being scanned properly, or so how anything that we can basically increase our success delivery success rate basically. And the second thing is our missing parcels. So PNOF, it's a parcel not on van.
Mhm.
So any parcel was misplaced in wrong bag and didn't go out to the driver.
Mhm.
So our target basically has to be 0, let's say. That's
Yeah.
our standard. So we don't want any missing parcel.
Yeah.
So I have to usually basically scan the aisles. So whenever we have any potential missing parcel from a driver reported, I go through the aisles and check if we left any parcels, check any other areas that we left where we scan the parcels, or we repack any damaged parcels. So to make sure nothing was left out.
Mhm.
So back in June, when I was training, I was able to reduce our missing parcels by half in
wow.
our Liverpool station.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of hard work, a couple of weeks, but it was quite interesting to see when you make sure everything is running smoothly, your
Mhm.
numbers will be achieved basically.
Yeah. How does it work, Mohammed? When it comes to a driver, so I come to your centre, pick up all my parcels for my delivery day. Do you plan their route for them? Do they plan their own route? Because I know that I've purchased things from Amazon before, and it says arriving, guaranteed delivery before 6 p.m. and I'm on the Amazon Prime, for example. So who actually sorts out the journey of the delivery drivers?
So in the morning, once we finish our induct, once every single parcel is put in the bag, ready to be going out on road, we message our central operations team.
Mhm.
So we have a sequencing team, which is outside our operation station.
Yeah.
They are responsible for all the routing for all the drivers. So we don't actually deal with what you're asking about in terms of sequencing.
No, cool. I was just thinking about route planning and just working out. Oh, I'm in the wrong job. I'd love to do something like that. Thank you, Mohammed. Abby, favourite project so far?
Yeah, I think
I bet you've got a lot.
I think I've got two. I was just thinking then one is process and one is people. So I think last year during peak, I'd done a piece of work which was on expanding our machine capacity as a building. So that was kind of the whole process of analysing what percentage of volume can we move, how can I get the conveyors fitted and kind of build new stations in the FC. So that was really cool, to be honest, working with a lot of different teams and really making a real impact to the customer. So I think that rollout project added something like 500,000 units, I think, during peak to our capacity as a building, which was really cool. And then I think a second one this year, which has been a very new challenge for me, was building a team. So this year we launched a lot of new sites in the local area that I'm in, which meant that a lot of our managers moved to new launch buildings, which is something that as a company we really advocate to get our experience into newer buildings. So I actually started my SOM role this year, which is senior operations role, and I had a brand new team of kind of no one, so I had to build that team up from the floor. So developing a brand new team, hiring new people, getting my org in place, it's been a really cool project to look at this year, to be honest, making sure I've got that diversity and balance in my org. So yeah, that's been something really cool to work on this year.
And so you're based in Darlington, aren't you, Abby? So do you get to recruit your own team members? Do you get involved in the whole recruitment process, or do the recruitment team do that and then you have people to train and everything else from day one?
Yeah, so I think it's a mix of both, to be honest. So we raise kind of requisitions, and we work closely with like Christina's team to bring people through, and there's obviously different pipelines that we recruit from, so graduates, kind of external experienced managers, obviously operations managers as well. So it's kind of getting that good combination of different pipelines on your team, so you've got a good balance of experience and kind of different skill sets that can be shared between the team. So it's a mix of both.
Yeah, and then what you can do, sorry, I thought you were going to say something else, Nabby. I thought you were taking a breath. And then obviously you're involved in all the training and development of all of your team members.
Yeah, so as Christina mentioned before, a lot of the onboarding is kind of standardized. So there's kind of academies that new hires will go through, but then obviously when they come on site, it's making sure that they've got the support they need locally, and then obviously developing them in the role. So kind of there's two aspects to that: the piece that they do kind of from a network perspective, and then the piece that they do once they get on site and into the role.
Yeah, and just to move on, Abby, I'm just conscious of time, Jess. I'm just going to go on to futures. And Abby, you've had so much experience so far. I'm staying with you with this one. What is your future looking like then? So the next couple of years at Amazon, where can you see yourself going?
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed operations, to be honest, and obviously I've worked a lot within there. I think for me, next steps potentially would be to look outside operations, to be honest, and just expand my breadth a little bit. So kind of looking into new teams potentially. Kind of we've got talent management teams. I'm really interested in that, or kind of more program roles rather than kind of operations. But for now, I'm definitely staying here with the team I've got at the moment, and kind of over the next couple of months I'll maybe look at what other roles are out there.
And how do you go about that then? Do Amazon advertise other positions internally? Do you have a manager that you will go to and discuss this with? How do you go about moving locations, moving teams, and obviously going into to different opportunities?
Yeah, so I think it's something that as a company we really advocate and support that internal movement of talent, because it's important that we can add value to different business lines and develop ourselves individually as well. So we've got an internal job finder, which I think a couple of weeks back I was looking, and there was like over 60,000 jobs available internally. So there's a lot of different teams that you can move out to, and I think the good thing with the graduate operations role is you can kind of develop a really good foundation of different skill sets that will cover an array of different areas, so that if you then want to go and specialize and move into a specific team, you've already got a really good foundation and a really good understanding of people management and leadership, which I think is kind of the foundation of any other role that you would go to in Amazon as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, good luck for your future plans, Abby. I'm going to go on to you, Mohammed. So your future at Amazon, what's it looking like for you?
So as in the next 5 years, hopefully, I'll be running my own site, my own delivery station, hopefully launching a new one, because we're always launching new sites every year or so.
Yeah.
So hopefully for now, I want to stay in operations and have my own site.
Yeah. Christina was smiling there going, oh.
We'll see what happens after. But that's the next 5 years, hopefully,
Perfect. Thank you, Mohammed. And Fran, your future plans?
So within the ACES sphere, there's so many different teams anyway. So there's the launch team. So I'm working with them because they make sure that the processes are in place from the start, including like the designs of the building and where things need to be. There's a team that there's an ACES team that works on the road, so they deal with the drivers. There's a lot of different areas I could go in, but I think being involved in the operation where I can see everything, I'd like to just stay here for like at least a year or two, so I know everything about a delivery station that there is to know. So
plus you wouldn't say reveling all your hard work that you've put in getting the centre live on Thursday. So I think I'd want to do that, just get it all live and then see how it all works and all ticks and everything else. Thank you very much, Fran, for that. So Christina, I'm going to move on to you and just talk about the recruitment process. So obviously we've inspired all of the students and graduates who are watching this webinar today. You mentioned before that your roles are currently live on GradCracker. So I'd say to any student, go and have a look after this webinar and get your applications in. So when the students do apply, Christina, what's the recruitment process from then on?
Yes. So application process is pretty simple, to be honest. So for both roles that they will candidates or students would apply for, operations internship or graduate roles. So of course you submit your application and you will be prompted to do a assessment, which is usually cultural assessment. There is no timing, nothing. They can take their own pace and complete that assessment. And once it's done, application will come through to us, to recruiters, for us to view. So we call it CV sifting. So we would review if the candidates that apply basically match all the criteria that we go along, and if everything is fine, then we will move candidates to the next stage. And next stage is interview. So in other roles, sometimes you get phone screens. However, as we are hiring high volume, for us it's just basically a CV cultural assessment, CV sifting, and then straight into interviews. Interviews will be 3 interviews. 30 minutes each with one of Amazon managers. So basically they could be interviewed by anybody who went through specific training for kind of looking for a new talent. So let's say it could be interviewed by Abby. And yeah, so 30 minutes with 3 interviewers each. And then if they are successful, then we will start discussing locations and offers with the candidates. And just as well, we run preparation calls basically for the candidates, where we do share tips and advice as well to any candidates going into interviews. So we give them quite a bit of support to make sure that they could actually nail the interviews with Amazon. So that would be the process.
Well, it sounds like you give them a lot of support there, Christina. So a couple of questions. You mentioned a cultural assessment.
Yes.
I've never heard of that before. What is that?
So there's just questions basically for the candidates to understand how they would fit in our environment. Actually, I don't think so. Actually, myself practiced one, but I'm pretty sure Mohammed did one. So I don't know, maybe he can give a little bit of overview, and Fran herself probably as well. They did one, so they probably will be able to give a little bit insight what the actual questions are there.
Yeah, Hamid, Fran, give us a bit of an insight into the cultural assessment.
So it's a different type of questions in terms of how do you process, like in the environment, in terms of production or efficiency or safety. So it's a series of different questions, I would say, involving different aspects in terms of what we do at Amazon. So as Christina mentioned, once everyone answers, it depends on, I'm sure they assess how everyone is prioritizing what exactly and how people are thinking of the operation, for example, or the environment.
Yeah.
So
looking back to Mohammed and Fran, looking back now to somebody who might be going through that process, is there any hints and tips that you think, oh, I wish I'd have known that when I was putting my application together or going through the cultural assessment? Mohammed, Fran, I'm happy for any of you to answer.
I guess in terms of the wider situation, the wider process is to just make sure that you have evidence to back up anything that you say in the interview. In terms of the process, to be honest, it's a lot of it is logical thinking and analytical thinking, and how you would approach a situation. So it's not really something you can like practice, but it's just thinking of don't just click on, I'd advise don't just click on the first, like the first answer. Think about it and analyze how you would approach it before just selecting.
Yeah, and have all your experiences to hand and in your head. Yeah, no problem, Fran, thank you. And my other question for you, Christina, was, you mentioned a couple of interviews there. What's the situation at the moment? Are they all virtual still, or are they in person?
All our interviews are virtual. I think since I've joined it, it hasn't changed, to be honest. So everything is virtual. We have a specific platform basically called Chime, where we send invitations. So candidates literally just join a bridge where they sit, and the interviewers are joining one by one, 30 minutes each to interview the candidates. yeah, it's like pretty simple standard Amazon kind of interviewing process for the graduates, but not complicated at all.
No, and is it a similar route for the undergraduates, so the placements? Is it a similar process?
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, in some of the processes, in some different roles, sometimes you can have phone screens included in between the interview stage, actually. So a phone screen where you just could talk to a recruiter or a hiring manager. And then if you pass both of the phone screens, you could go to the interview. But for graduates, it's a little bit simplified. And it's just literally, if you meet the profile, it's straight to you going to interviews.
Super. Thank you very much, Christina. And thank you everybody for joining us today, all the grads. Good luck, Fran, for Thursday, and good luck everybody for Christmas. I can't believe I'm saying that already. But we need to prepare, don't we? So don't forget, Amazon are open with their opportunities now, which are live on GradCracker. So hopefully this webinar will have inspired students and graduates to go and have a look at their hub and apply to their fantastic opportunities. I'm trying to get the fact that we're not on Thursday, we're actually on Monday. So the webinar will be broken up into chunks, which will be on the Amazon hub later on in the week, and this recording will be on the Amazon hub tomorrow. So make sure to take a look, and when Fran mentioned about having examples and everything else, make sure you mention this webinar as an example. It's been a really good insight into what Amazon do and who they are as an employer. So me and Jess are joined by the London Stock Exchange group on Thursday, 2 in 1 week. It's your lucky week. So we'll see you all on Thursday. But for now, thank you very much for Amazon for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.